So we left off with our group of still, somewhat strangers who've been brought together to move out to Manitou Springs and retake territory for the Sept of the Broken Stone in Denver. And they have, through one of Jake's friends, I guess we can call her, associates, but I think becoming a friend, learned of the disappearance of a young man and his somewhat older, not too much older, but older partner. Um, and they have gone to their loft apartment in kind of the artsy area of Manitou Springs to kind of check on them and see what's going on, and found the apartment empty. Having been empty, they assume, for at least a few days. And they have decided that they're going to do a couple of different things. Zeev and Fenton have decided to hunt down some contacts that they managed to collect after accessing the laptop of Mitchell and, well, actually, I think it was Joy's laptop that Zeev went through first. In some contacts of people that they found connected to a horticultural club that appears to have been the last place that Mitchell Erickson posted from, a picture from, at any rate, on Instagram, which Lenexia Charlie discovered. And then Charlie or Lenexia, how do you want me to refer to your character regularly? Do you want Lenexia or Charlie?
That's a good question because I have two names and it's like really confusing. I think I think it's going to be Lenexia because I think over time I will get like people in the group to call me Lenexia rather than Charlie because Charlie is my human name and human ID, essentially.
Right. Yeah, it's your fate.
So it's because Lenexia was a given name by the tribe that found me because I didn't have a name before that. So it's more of a family.
I will try to remember to just use Charlie when you're interacting with non-pack members, non-sept members.
Just to confuse
you. I will do my best. So Lenexia and Aaron were, interestingly enough, were planning to hunt down Mitchell and Joy by scent. Aaron grabbed a piece of clothing of each of theirs from their not yet laundered bin, and they were going to take those articles of clothing, and I assume, after having been not rebuffed, but suggested by Fenton that they don't shift here in the apartment, having noticed several cameras around, that they were going to leave the premises and go find an appropriate place to take their wolf forms and then try to track the couple that way. So, I think what we will do, assuming there's nothing else you want to do in the apartment, you guys are still here. Is there anything you want to do at this point?
Double check that my note is still on the table and it didn't blow off in the wind when we opened up the window.
Have you opened the window?
No, I'm going to make sure that the cats are cared for.
Sure.
Again, that the rotten fruit is disposed of in the trash.
Right.
If they have a recycling bin and I saw it like on the way downstairs or something, I'd probably take the recycling with me. And it serves a purpose of also, if there are cameras in the hallway, then it actually looks like I'm doing domestic things in the house while people aren't there. So
yeah. No, that makes sense.
That's not my character's motivation for doing so. It just is a happy, happenstance that it also does that too.
Yeah. So I would say that as you are doing one more once over of the apartment, grabbing the rubbish, looking for recycling, things like that, you do notice that the note is still there, because I'm going to say that I think Aaron would wait until you have left the apartment and he's on the way out to grab the note, with the way that he was being kind of cagey about it.
He
Um,
specifically said he was going to do that. It's you
yeah.
don't have to suppose. It was kind of
Oh, okay. Okay.
yes.
So yeah, I think you're doing that. Anybody else doing anything else here before we leave? Jake did refill for everybody watching. Jake did refill the food hopper, which is good for several weeks, and the water hopper for the 5 cats that live in the apartment. So
You know what? I'm going to be kind. I'll even take care of the kitty litter so that they have a little fresh thing because I don't know
oh,
when the
okay,
next time it's going to get changed.
yeah.
Um,
So the kitty litter is actually kind of really smartly like placed in kind of an alcove with kind of a cubby that the cats can easily access, but it's also something that you can open up. It's a pretty large litter bin. It is a kind of looks like probably a custom job because it's big. I want to say this bin is probably 4 feet on a side, but it's got an automatic, kind of cleaner that comes through and
yeah, right.
grabs all the stuff and dumps it in a bag. So it looks like it's probably a custom job. Again, Joy makes money.
I'm not
So,
surprised. Mitchell has money. He can afford it. It's good.
well, Mitchell has money through Joy, would be the
Yeah.
assumption. I did forget to mention there is a lot of art around the apartment as well. Mitchell is an artist. So it looks like most of it is probably done with computers. So he's some kind of digital, like, graphic artist. But apparently he or Joy really likes his work because they have several prints printed out and framed. And
That's
Is
fine.
there
But
a
we're
theme
not
to the
we're
art?
not trying to pocket some of that, pocket some of that to fund the investigation.
right.
No. Actually, Mitchell might very well be dead. This could be worth a mint.
Well, you know how to get into the
Well, we
place.
have a key.
Yeah, and I'll remind you, I also put that remote software on the computer in case they do come back.
Right.
I could
Yeah.
still access it remotely.
Thank you for reminding
yeah.
me.
Is there any theme to the art that Mitchell does that is recognizable?
So probably the theme that would stand out to you the most. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it's a video game, but there's a video game called Firewatch that has a very particular art style, particularly in its promotional materials. It basically looks like you take like a landscape and the foreground is always in silhouette, and oftentimes it's trees or like a person, maybe with a backpack and a walking stick. And then as you go deeper into the image, there are layers of color, but it's very obviously like it's not a photograph. It's just you have layers of increasingly brightening color the deeper you go into the image. So it's a lot of, you assume one that you can see that takes up a prominent space over their couch is Pike's Peak, which is very visible and kind of dominant from the main street of Manitou Springs, which you're actually kind of looking at right now. And then there are some other kind of mountainous scenes, forest scenes. In the colors in the images are always very chromatically correct, right? So you might have one piece that's all oranges, and then another piece is all reds, and another piece is all yellows. That just kind of brighten as you go deeper. Or it's actually a really interesting art style if anybody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a series of sort of, I suppose, vistas really. For a lot of it, the key art that you see, and it is fascinating. The more you look, the more you see. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
I
all
think
out of doors images, all any people that are in those images appear to be like hikers, outdoors type people.
Yeah. I think Fenton would be sort of politely encouraging us on, and to get a move. I think he'd be picking up the key and sort of very much sort of trying to grab people's attention by twirling the key around in his hands, and just sort of politely emphasising that we should probably really start looking into some of these links, getting Erin and Lenexia off on their travels, so we can find out what's happening as quickly as possible.
Okay. So, mainly so that I don't have to, as you guys leave the apartment, mainly so that I don't have to play Aaron, because I don't want to play him incorrectly. I don't want to do anything. He receives a phone call as you're leaving the building, and he has a hushed conversation with someone. It's not like he's speaking in code, but he's certainly not making it apparent what he's discussing.
Okay.
And then he apologizes, says he has something that really has to do immediately. You think you heard, if you pay close attention, you think you heard something about a Baptist church being mentioned. And so, yeah, he begs off, and he says he will, obviously, you know, if you need him in an emergency, he will try to make it to wherever you are. He hands the articles of clothing that he's kind of bundled up into a small bundle over to Lenexia, and he just kind of looks at you and he says, "You'll be okay with this, right?"
Yeah, I'll be fine. I got it.
And then, yeah, he heads off down the street.
Okay. Grand. So I think I would say to Lenexia, right, not 100% sure what that was all about, but let's carry on our current plan. Keep an eye out. Find somewhere safe to change. Get yourself off over to the Horticulture Club. See what you can find out. Stay safe. I'd recommend maybe staying out of sight as best as possible. I think stealth is our advantage here. Myself and Zev, we're going to take the car, try and track down some of this list of people as best we can. Let's meet back at the safe house tonight and divulge what we've found out.
At your safe house? You have one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you and Longy both have one. So
is it reasonable for us to meet tonight? Or would we?
Potentially. I mean, there's no reason not to that you can think of right now. It's a ways, the Horticultural Club, the Fremont Experimental Forest, which is where the Horticultural Club is working on a particular tract of land. It is a ways into the mountains, but you know, in wolf or in lupus or hispo form, it would take very little time for you to get there. Well, about as much time as it would to drive, right? So it's not like Lenexia is going to be super far out of town.
Yeah, I thought that was what we said last time. So yeah, I think a plan to meet back up tonight at the safe house makes sense.
Okay.
If we don't hear from you, we'll come out in the car and start looking.
Yeah, I'll contact you if I find anything that needs that I think we should look into straight away.
Yeah.
So
if you're in trouble.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because we did establish that she would be close enough to where you would hear the howl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, I will remind you, Tony, that Crow is chilling out.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Now, can me and Lenexia, are we able to converse with Crow because we have penumbral sensors? Is that what that is, or have I
So Crow is actually in the real world. Like, Crow is present. You can converse with Crow because she took the aspects of the advantage that it is inhabiting a real crow.
Right. Yep.
You have the other one, right? The other spirit pack.
I think Aaron has it. I think Aaron.
Oh, Aaron has
got
it.
the...
So Aaron's spirit pact, as it stands right now, you're not able to communicate with that spirit unless you summon it, or
Right.
it just happens to be around. And you also have to have penumbral senses to be able to do so.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, so I think with Jake having stepped away, we will kind of focus on Tony for the moment before we get to you guys and who you're contacting in town.
Sounds good.
Oh, Jake's back.
Sorry, yeah.
No worries. No worries.
For the record, my mommy came to the door. Always answer the door for your mommy. It's
Oh,
very
for sure.
important.
100%. Yeah.
And this is still a professional production.
It always is. Okay, so... well, actually, now that you're back, Jake, you and Bessa might want to consider who you're going to look into. Do you need me to go through some names again, or do either of you have them?
Got them all listed down. Took some well-detailed notes
Awesome.
of the various cast members of the Culture Club, as I've dubbed them. I'm not sure which one is going to be Boy George yet, but possibly Mitchell. I think Ricard Mueller was definitely the first one we should be checking up. Second to that, Birgit Van Gelder, not being listed on the current version of the website. Very interesting, finding out the history of what's happened there should be our first point of call. As to Jacqueline Bates, Aisha Kreider, I think we'll get to them if looking into Ricard doesn't turn anything over. But certainly the guy that's listed as running everything is definitely the guy we should be tracking down initially.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned Bridget would be the first before Ricardo, correct?
So Birgit Van Gelder, we definitely need to. Yeah, we need to definitely hunt her down, find out how the changeover happened and what happened there. I don't feel right about it. My spidey senses, my wolf senses are tingling.
And I agree. I actually think that we'll get information that will then be able to test how truthful Ricardo is with us, and we'll be able to challenge him as well based on that. I think she's our metric for the lie detector type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that he's listed on everything as the main guy, the main guy for the organisation. It's too coincidental that he's listed down as everything, and there seems to be no explanation as to why Birgit Van Gelder is no longer listed, but was on the prior version. Normally, for that sort of handover for a company like this, I'd expect some more details. I'd expect maybe we could find press releases or something. Not sure if there is.
Especially for something.
Currently.
Especially for something as important as a horticultural club.
Indeed. In possible greenbelt land. I mean, you never know. It's mountains after all.
So you're gonna try and hunt down Birgit first.
Try and hunt down Birgit first, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Then I will have that on the back burner of my brain while we deal with Tony. So Tony.
Yeah.
You're going to be heading up into the mountains. You've got some scent objects you can potentially use. And you've got Crow, who's always following you around and not going to have any trouble keeping up with you. Because of your pact, Crow is able to keep up with you quite easily. I will tell you this, before you left the apartment, you saw, because I wanna do a quick flashback real quick. Before you left the apartment, you saw Crow tapping at the window.
Yeah, I would have gone straight over and answered.
Take something for me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this is not an unusual request from him, is it?
Take something for him. Take something shiny.
What? Okay, so what is the shiniest thing we have here?
What do you think the shiniest thing they have in their apartment is? Also, you know Crow, so it has to be small enough for Crow to hold on to and take somewhere.
Yeah, you can't take the fridge.
Yeah. Oh, and do you even want to do it? It's your choice.
Crow's my best friend. I'll do anything for Crow. Crow is the only solid family that is with me right now. These will become my family, but you know, not
He's the only one that gets it.
So for those watching,
didn't I
Tony
see
has a pact requirement that sometimes her spirit companion will require her to do things, and if she doesn't, he's not happy.
Didn't I see a little heart-shaped locket on the bedside that opens up and has a picture of Joy and Mitchell inside together?
Sure.
I thought I saw something like that. I don't remember.
I'm sure there's something like that. You want to take something so personal?
Well, I would be looking around because it's one of them, like, being an artist, having the paintings, it's a safe assumption that they might have sculptures and other little posh trinkets. I don't...
Yeah, nothing small enough for a Crow to grab, though. You are probably, like Jake suggests, you're probably looking for jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a ring or something if it's quite artsy.
Locket.
Yeah, 'cause I'm trying to think of anything
Maybe a
else.
magnet from the fridge. There's a particularly shiny bottle opener that attaches to the fridge via magnet, and it has like a Pike's Peak kind of enameled emblem on it.
Yeah, because I think
Maybe he's got lots of enamel badges.
I think
Little
it would
pins.
be. I would try my best not to do something so personal, especially in this situation, because like it's a bit untoward. We don't actually know they're dead, and I don't like robbing from the dead, you know. Sorry, borrowing.
There is a brown glass ashtray nearby that says Bellagio Las
Oh,
Vegas
no, sir,
on it.
There are no ashtrays in this apartment.
So yeah, I think like something, because everything's so fancy in here, so I don't really want to take something that would be missed. So yeah, I think the magnet would be the one of the choices, and just like take it off the fridge and just like.
She know that would be.
You know,
No,
if you want to take something that wouldn't be noticed, probably the TV remote control. I don't think these people watch much TV. I mean, they're artsy types.
That's funny. So yeah, you grab something for Crow, and then as you're outside, Crow knows, particularly in town, not to do anything so noticeable as to just land on your shoulder. But you always know that he's above you, maybe circling, maybe flying past, maybe he's on a nearby lamppost, something like that. But you always know where Crow is. Now, you don't have any kind of supernatural sense necessarily of Crow, so if Crow is heading out on a line full of crows, you don't necessarily know which one is him until he flies down to you and starts talking to you, because he is the only crow that can speak.
Yeah.
At least that you've met personally.
So, what is it like when he speaks to me? Is it just Like, how is that seen from outside?
Oh, like he speaks.
Like
Like
full
he
on.
speaks English.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, a bit weird.
Your companions have seen a crow speaking English.
Okay, fair.
Nice that it's an English crow, because if it was a German crow, I mean, none of us know
That'd be
what was going on.
problematic, right? I don't really.
Yeah.
I can get by with German, but yeah. No,
It flies down as like Sprechen Sie Deutsch or like 9, and then it's a whole bit. It's a whole bit.
Any of you, well, especially you as a theurge, Fenton, you would imagine that if you're fairly certain it's a spirit, right? Like that's taken a form. And you would probably guess that Crow can kind of speak whatever language he needs to. He's just speaking in English to Lenexia because that's the language that she has picked up since her first change. So.
Yep.
Another thing.
Spirit.
I will also grab just a little bit, like a little handful of the cat food, and see if he wants food. I just pop that in my pocket for later.
Okay, that's fair.
Just a nibble on the way.
Right. So you, well, I imagine you give the magnet to Crow or place it somewhere where he can grab it.
Yeah.
Was
it on the main street?
I mean, maybe place it like on a ledge or something, and then a moment later he'll just kind of swoop down and grab it.
Yeah.
So where are you gonna go to shift? Are you gonna walk out of town? That'll take time. There are a few green spaces, and you do have Clement Lupus. You could also just shift around the corner.
Yeah, literally, probably if there's a little back alley or something.
Okay.
I'll probably just straight up just go in there and change, because they're getting sorted in the car. I was like, okay.
Yeah, your clothing is dedicated, but these pieces that you have picked up from from Mitchell and Joy are not dedicated, so you'll have to leave those behind. But you'll want to place them someplace where you can sniff them once you've shifted. I'm not trying to make this difficult. You just put them on the ground somewhere maybe, or in an open bin that you can kind of reach into as a wolf and take a big sniff before you head off.
But yeah, because we discussed this at the end of the last episode that they... Oh no, they don't know that I was originally a wolf. But I'd imagine that we would have, I don't know if they would have actually seen me. How long have we actually been together?
So I would imagine you guys have been a pack at least for a couple of weeks. You've met each other at there would have been a pact creation ritual, or not pact, a pack bonding ritual at the Sept. So you would have met each other there. Sometimes for rituals, people take different forms. I would imagine that Zeev probably didn't. Zeev probably remained in human form. But you may have shown the others your lupus form if you felt more natural taking part. Although, to be fair, most times when you're engaging in a rite, you take at least Glabro or Hispo form, because you have to take a supernatural form. So you probably would have seen Zeev get a little bit chunkier and bigger. He probably would have taken Glabro form. But you might have taken Hispo form, which is Direwolf. And although your Direwolf form doesn't have Clement Lupus, nobody's going to mistake your Direwolf form as a dog. It probably still looks in some ways similar to your Lupus form, just bigger and scarier.
Okay, so then I think my train of thought is that I essentially will go round the back. I'll pop the magnet on a ledge as I walk past, go around, change form,
Uh-huh.
and then I will take the clothes to the car.
And you look around before you shift, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's definitely.
Just make sure. Yeah, you notice nobody is there, nobody is watching you. Let me make a quick roll. No, I'm kidding. You don't see anybody watching you except for Crow. And yeah, you manage to shift, and the articles are there, and you can get a big sniff of them. Now, it's not going to be very helpful to you right now because you actually are getting a lot of scents, and they probably would have traveled out to that area by car. But I will let you make. I'll let you make a roll now.
Yeah.
To see how much you remember their scent by the time you get there. So let's do wits and survival. And see how many successes you can get.
Wits.
These will act as bonus dice once you actually get out there and can start sniffing around. If you fail, it's not the end of the world.
Wits and survival, so that's 3, and I need to change 1 to rage. Yeah.
Well, you should have more than that.
What? No, wits and survival. Did I do it?
Wits plus survival.
Yeah.
What's your wits?
This says 2.
What's your survival?
1.
Oh, okay. I thought you had more survival than that. Okay. So,
I mean, it says survival
problem.
woodlands. I would have thought I had more than that, to be honest, but I can't remember how I did it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. 3 dice isn't horrible. I just thought for some reason you had more. Maybe it's Aaron. At any rate, so you got no successes. You won't get any bonus dice once you get up there, but you will still be able to roll. So, are you gonna just run through town like a streak, or are you just gonna try and take a kind of meandering path out of town to stay out of people's way, and kind of take your time to make it look like you're not fleeing, or are you just go?
Probably a bit of both. Like, I'm
Okay.
just gonna, I'll sprint through any main roads or anything I need to, but then
Sure.
kind of trot and weave.
Yeah. So we'll say that you were able to look at a map before you left, right? You've got phones. It's 2024. So you were able to look at GPS before you left. Obviously, you won't be able to use that while you're in Wolf Form, but you know kind of roughly, based on the highway, where you're going. So we'll say it takes you probably a good 45 minutes to get there. You're not, I would imagine you're probably not going to run along the highway, but you're probably running kind of off to the side in the woods, kind of keeping an eye on the highway because that's going to be your easiest navigational path.
Yeah.
So yeah, 45 is a bit long. We'll say it takes you about a half an hour to get up there. In that half an hour, what are Beza and Jake? What are you guys doing? Checking out with Birgit first?
Yep.
Okay. So you find her address easily enough. You've got her name. It's easy to look her up and find her address and her phone number. How do you proceed?
Well, is it any way to find out anything else about her profession?
Give me an intelligence technology check. Both of you can do this. One of you can be lead if you want to assist the other. If you're giving assistance, your successes are going to add dice to the primary. No,
Okay,
you know
so
what?
my intelligence
This isn't
is
something you
4.
can really assist with. You're both going to be just kind of on your phones, or maybe if Jake has a laptop or a tablet, you're going to be doing your research independently of each other. So why don't you both give me a intelligence technology roll to see what you can discover?
Okay.
So my intelligence is 4. My tech is 0, though, I think.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can roll 4.
My tech
Don't
is
forget your
2, but
rage.
it says specifically surveillance systems.
So that's not going to give you a bonus for this.
Correct.
So it'll just be 2.
Okay.
So am I doing just 4 green dice, or as I've got 2 rage, is it 2 and 2, or?
It's 2 and 2. So you're always replacing green dice with red if you have
red.
rage.
Oh, so I have to reduce it by 1 and add
So
the
what's
rage.
your intelligence, Jake?
So it's 4 and 2, so it's 6. So I roll
6.
5 and 1.
Correct. Yes. So you
Okay.
roll 5 green, 1 red.
For
So it's doing 2
transparency's
green.
sake, I've been doing it wrong all this time.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay, 1 brutal is not a problem, Bessa. You've got 3 successes. Jake, you've got a big 4. Okay, so you want to know like what her profession is? Well, she's retired. She used to own a business that dealt in shipping on some level. But she sold the company off and is retired. She has a nice little house in the outskirts of town. She used to live in Denver, but moved to Manitou Springs about 10 years ago. And up until about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, she was listed as the primary point of contact for the horticultural. She was kind of in charge. She was actually given a writ of I'm not a legal person, so I don't know exactly what it would be, but like a writ of allowance of some kind for engaging with and reclaiming this developmental area, this development copse west in the Fremont Experimental Forest. Also from the organization that currently holds the land, which is Enderon. But about 2 years ago, she was looking at the information in the paper trail. It looks like maybe she was edged out by Ricard Muller.
Yeah.
But you do have her address, you have a phone number.
So, what do you say? Do we go the route of we are tax agents for the government, and we're investing Ricard for possible tax evasion and tax sheltering activities in relation to the Horticulture Club? And since she was listed as the previous one, we wanted to get her input so that we could see, if there are any irregularities.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good way to go.
Oh, really? I thought it was a horrible idea. I was just hoping you had something better.
I mean,
No, I think it's a good way to not divulge why we're actually looking into this. I think it makes sense for why we'd be checking up to see how the changeover happened, in case there was any past tax due, especially being that she was obviously a fairly savvy businesswoman as well. We want to make sure that there's no further outstanding bills, and hopefully this way we'll get some decent information on the card before we go out to see him.
Yeah.
so are you going to call her first, or are you just going to show up at her place?
I think we should drive out to a place, and then once we're outside, I think we should call the number and see if we can get her on the phone, see if she's there whilst checking at the house. That way, she can't make a quick escape and get away from us if she is there.
Okay. So
Always
her house is, a nice house. If you give me a moment, I will.
Is it a very, 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 very nice house?
Oh,
Very nice house in the country.
It is on the outskirts of town, but it is in kind of like a developed kind of subdivision type area. Actually, you know what I can do to show you her house? we will just modify this scene.
Use some of my subterfuge skills, pretending to be a tax inspector.
Right.
It's the job I've always wanted.
All right. So, 1 second.
And who doesn't like to speak to tax specialists? I mean, we're fascinating
Yeah, everybody
people.
loves dealing
Exactly.
with taxes. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Any second now.
Just building the tension there, Brian.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
You were right. That is a very nice house in the country.
yeah, with 2 cats in the yard.
Yeah.
So, the street is wide. I mean, this is a relatively new development, so the roads in the area are quite new and quite modern. There's large enough space on each side of the street for cars to park and still allow for two-way traffic. The blacktop is fresh. Looks like it's been recently repaired in a few spaces, so people take care of this area. And yeah, her house looks like it's well tended. There's a lot of greenery out front. Down one side of the house, you can see that it's almost entirely covered in vines. Along the other side of the house, there's some other larger shrubbery and brush. And although this picture doesn't depict it quite well, her house does back onto kind of a wooded area. And so she has kind of a small yard by American standards, probably about the size of an average British garden from what I've seen. And then it just backs right up to a wooded area. No fence, no wall, just... And so you try to ring her, right? That's what you guys said?
Yep.
Just remember to change your call identify to U.S. government tax offices.
Well,
Good thinking.
I mean, however, so in 2024, you've never called her before. Whatever method you're using to call her, for her, it's going to be unlisted, right? Because I would imagine that you guys' phones are unlisted.
Yeah.
So...
All right. So, ringly.
So you ring her, and you get what sounds like some kind of answering service. Could be an answering machine, could be service tied to the phone. This appears to be a home phone. This doesn't appear to be a cell phone, based on the number and based on what you've seen and looking up all of her information. She may not have a cell phone. When she does, it may not be listed. So yeah, you get the...
So we get get like a voicemail.
Elder, yeah.
Yeah.
Not available at the moment. Please leave a message. You know what to do. And beep.
Yeah. Okay, so I think at that point we hang up. We don't leave a message. We just cut the call.
Hi, this is a telemarketer. Please call me back at 555.
This is a telemarketer. I love it.
555 volcano insurance. Okay. So, seems that there's no answer.
I should also add there is a drive and there is a garage.
Does it look like there's activity coming from inside of the house? Do we see
You
lights
can't
on
see
show?
anything through the windows. What you can see inside the house, just looking through the main windows, there's no blinds, or if there are, they're pulled up. There's no drapes, although it looks like there might be some. They're just open. What you can see is green. You just get this sense of overwhelming greenery from inside her house.
Lots of plants going
You
in.
have to be careful. This might be a little shop of horrors. And I think I'll cautiously head up the walkway. I'm going to try to note if there are cameras. I mean, if this person doesn't have a cell phone, I doubt there'll be security cameras, but I'm just going to try to be aware for that.
So there is a Ring camera. You
Okay.
can spot that like once you get out of the car, but you don't see anything that looks like any other kind of surveillance setup.
Okay. I'll ring the doorbell. I'll ring the Ring doorbell. How
are you
Press.
dressed? Are you dressed in like your school like tweed?
Oh, no. I mean, I am
like,
dressed
okay, yeah,
appropriately,
gotcha.
yes.
Okay, so
which is
professional.
happens to be, well, professional casual. I think at
Sure.
least, like from the Ring doorbell, she may not see that I'm wearing black jeans and
Okay.
and hopefully not, because
Yeah.
it wouldn't suit the persona. I didn't come
Right.
prepared.
So ring, and then you do hear a woman's voice like, hello.
Yes.
Oh, this
Hello.
damn thing. Hang on, I can't see you yet. Give me
Sure,
a second. Okay. Oh, hello.
Yes. Hello. Is this Miss Van Gelder?
Yes.
Yes. Hi.
Do I know you?
Yes. No, and I apologize for the imposition. I'm Agent Fox from the Department of Treasury Tax Services. We wanted to discuss with you, if we could, certain happenings with regarding the horticultural club that we understand that you've been in charge of, and as you know, we go back in our records 7 years. Might we have a moment of your time? It shouldn't take too long.
Well, now, I don't have anything to do with that club anymore. I've cut ties with them now. Person you want to speak to is that Muller person, Ricard Muller.
Yes, no. We certainly have his name here. However, again, since the audits go back 7 years, I believe about 2 years ago you were registered as the person responsible for the organization at that time. Now, we didn't find any irregularities from your tenure, but we wanted to ask you a couple of questions just for comparison's sake, as we have noticed several irregularities since Ricardo has taken over, and we just need to get some questions from you so that we could treat this case fairly.
Oh well, it wouldn't surprise me if that man is doing something inappropriate, but I'm sorry, I'm not home right now.
Oh,
I'm up in Denver for the day.
you could talk to me from Denver, from this doorbell intercom? That's amazing.
I can.
Wow.
And I think, hang on, I think we might need to take a break here, because I believe Lonnie
Yes.
just joined us.
No, she just has to get rid of one camera, and boom, it'll be done.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, let's give Tony a moment.
You know what? We don't want to trouble you while you're in Denver with your family. Obviously, you're somebody who is very technologically advanced. If you're able to talk to us from Denver through this intercom system of yours, that's quite an impressive task, Miss Van Gelder. But just could you mention why you said it didn't surprise you that this Mr. Muller would be conducting unusual business with the horticulture club?
Oh, he's a horrible man. He's a bore of a man. It's one of the reasons why I left. He, well, aside from him getting Enderon to shift all of the responsibility over to him, I was not going to hang around with that. He's not a good person. If you want to contact him, he must be in town. He just called me earlier today to try and mend fences. I'll have none of it. He's got to still be around. I assume that you have his address and contact information. You're from the IRS, you said?
Yes, we do have his contact information. If, of course, what he's submitted on the forms is correct, because it looks like he did just recently submit a change of address. Would you mind confirming with me the address that you have on file and the contact information?
Oh, that would be in my files back home. I'm sorry, I don't have the man's.
Oh, that's fine. And I'm going to ramble off some address that I've known from something else that I know is false. And I'm going to say, does that sound correct to you?
Oh, no. That certainly doesn't sound correct.
Oh, my.
That must be... He must be trying to fleece you all in some way. I would get on him.
I see.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a busy day ahead of me. I'd be happy to talk to you more tomorrow when I'm in town, but...
certainly. Let me just confer with my colleague, Agent Wolf. Agent Wolf, did you have any questions? Apparently, through the wizardry of technology, we're actually talking to Ms. Van Gelder, who's in Denver now, through her door intercom.
No further questions there. We thank you for your time, Miss Van Gelder. But we would like to pop back and talk to you if we could at a later date. Should we need any further follow-up information?
Well, I'll make sure I stay around the house tomorrow.
So do we just come here and ring your doorbell to talk to you again?
Yes, I'll be home tomorrow. As I said.
I see. Okay. I thought you meant home in Denver.
I mean, I don't need to tell you gentlemen exactly when I'll return home, but I wasn't planning on staying in Denver. No, I shall be home on tomorrow. You can call me at an appropriate time.
Yes, and I just must. I apologize to hold you for 1 minute longer, but I cannot end this conversation without telling you what a beautiful garden you have outside. It's spectacular. I rarely see. I mean, and I'm gonna is that really and I'll like kind of say those are hard to grow at this time and keep so well, and they seem to be flourishing and blooming. I have a hobby, but I don't have the skill you have. Obviously, this is quite impressive, Miss Van Gelder.
See, now you've got her stuck because you complimented her greenery. So I think we're gonna take a short break because it is about time anyway. When we come back, we'll swap over to Lenexia and bring Aaron back in, and then we'll get back to you flattering Miss Van Gelder.
Oh crap! Do I have to Google horticultural stuff now during the break?
No.
Do I have home?
So, before we continue on with Jake charming Miss Van Gelder by discussing her plants, I think we will move over to Aaron, who is also in town still. So, Longy, the way I handled it is I had you receive a phone call from a particular touchstone of yours, saying that they had some information for you from keeping an eye out on that church you asked them to keep an eye on. You've picked up the information, and maybe you contacted Zev or Fenton after receiving that information to see what's going on. They told you that Lenexia went ahead and went off towards the experimental forest, the developmental copse west. And what they're doing, which is checking on, well, at this point, Van Gelder. So what do you want to do? Do you want to try and catch up to Lenexia, or do you want to join the other gentleman?
That was the plan. So I'll try and catch up with Lenexia and offer her some support.
So you would probably be... your contact's in town, so I'd say you'd probably only be 15, 20 minutes behind her. You know that the plan was that she was going to travel out there in wolf form.
Yeah, and I was going to do the same. So.
Right. So are you going to try to contact her to tell her to wait for you?
I will assume that she's already in wolf form and actually on the way, so I will just try to track her.
Well, you can do that, and you know roughly where you were going. So, like I talked to her, like you know to follow the highway up to a certain point, and then But you could also call out to her. Wolves howl.
Oh.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to make you howl if you don't want to, but are you going to try and like send her a quick message like, "Hey, I'm coming. You know, don't get into trouble without me," something like that?
Yeah. Just slow down. I'll catch up. Something like that. Something simple.
Okay. And will you do so, Tony?
Yeah, I'll wait. Because I knew Longy was... No. Oh, Longy. Your character is...
Aaron.
Aaron.
I knew Aaron was coming along, so yeah. I'll just slow down and trot.
So, go ahead and give me a wit survival roll to track her. We're going to give you 3 bonus dice since you know roughly the path that she was going to take. Don't forget to convert regular dice into rage dice for your rage. I believe you still have 1 rage.
That's correct, yeah. So wisdom survival gives me 4, and then 3 bonus, yeah. So, so 7, so 6. I remember how to roll dice now. There we go. Rocking all over the world.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, you are able to track her no problem. And that doesn't speak to your ability to stay concealed at all, Tony. It's just, you didn't indicate that you were trying to necessarily be stealthy, so you weren't really covering your trail. So you're able to track her and catch up with her pretty quickly. So, Tony, if you slow down, I'd say that he catches up with you probably just as you are getting kind of to the general area where you're starting to get close. Now, you did get a big whiff of it earlier, but it's been a while since Aaron was able to get a whiff of the clothing. But still, you'll be able to track together to try and track them to where you need to go. So, I want to get another wits survival test for you guys to track, but I want you to decide who's going to be the primary tracker and who's going to be supporting.
I think it would probably be Lenexia because she's got the primary scent and adds support.
She does, but she didn't get a good whiff. So it's up to you guys. You can still have her be the primary since you're second on scene. In that case, if you're going to assist her, you're going to need to make your roll first. I'm going to double check and make sure I'm doing helping correctly.
Is it not just 1 dice? You just give 1 dice bonus?
Is it just 1? Have I been doing it wrong?
I think so. I think it is. It's a few days since I've read the rules, but yeah.
No, you're right. It's 1. I was making it too easy. So 1 die. He's going to give you. So go ahead and make your roll with 1 die additional. So you're going to have, if I remember correctly, Tony, that'll mean you have 3 green and 1 red.
Okay. And this is not anything extra for being wolfy?
Oh, you get a bonus for being in wolf form.
Oh
don't
yeah,
you?
and
So
plus
things-
2 for being in wolf form.
Plus 2 for being in wolf. Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. Come on. Dice.
No, that's how you do it.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
So you guys feel like that between the two of you, you have kind of a good bead on how to get to this Development Copes West area. Now, as we discussed in the last session, this is on land held by a company, and there is kind of a central area that you would have had to drive into, and there's a gate, and there's, probably some kind of security and things like that. But I believe you guys were going in wolf form to just avoid all that and kind of come in, from the rear, as it were. Not necessarily, but
From a different direction.
right. To not have to deal with that. So, first we're going to do is we're going to switch to this. So as you start getting close, or after a while, I guess I should say, you wouldn't necessarily know that you're getting close. Feel like the woods are definitely getting heavier. There's a lot of underbrush. This area is kind of underdeveloped. For a while, you were kind of finding and like deer runs and things like that, paths, as it were. But as a light rain starts to fall, you find yourself having to deal with fallen trees, heavy underbrush. It's very, very difficult to traverse. Made easier, perhaps, by being in the forms that you're in. You definitely know it would be a lot harder right now if, pardon my snorting, if you were in human form. But it's certainly not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So, being that it's so difficult and you're trying to find your way, I'm going to have you both make, and you both have to make this roll, a stamina plus survival test. But you get 2 additional dice for being in lupus form for this test as well.
Stamina and survival.
Right.
Nice.
I can't see the dice rolls. So what did you guys get?
I got 2.
Ball. 2 and 4. Great. So you
4.
both succeed. It's not easy getting through this just kind of dense underbrush, but you both manage to maintain your composure, and it doesn't affect you that much. However, as you're traveling, you might notice a few things here and there that it looks like there might be some other signs of things going on. And this is where we're going to get into kind of a discussion about investigation. You feel like you're getting close to the right area, but you guys are going to have to tell me what you're looking for and indicate when you're investigating things, rather than me just telling you, hey, roll these dice. So I'll give you a hint, right? Like saying, it looks like there's been some activity in the area. If you indicate to me that you want to investigate further, then we can make some rolls. If you want to just keep pushing forward, then we will do so.
Okay. I think that I would like to, given Erin's normal thing to just stay hidden and out of view and not make a scene of anything, I would probably like to do a stealth check to make sure we are picking even though it's really dense, if it looks like there has been activity here, I'd like to make sure we can view that activity if we are going to investigate it, but do it from a hidden location or move in hidden paths.
Okay, so I'm not going to make you roll for that. But it is good that you indicated to me that you want to do so stealthily. So if it becomes necessary, I'll let you make a stealth check.
Okay.
Right now, though, I understand you're trying to be stealthy. Do you want to investigate closely?
Yes.
Okay, so give me an intelligence and investigation test.
Both
Tony,
of us?
are you going to assist, or do you want to investigate on your own?
I'll probably just assist because I think my focus is on keeping the scent at this stage.
Sure. So get a bonus die from Tony.
And you do 2 bonus still for Wolf or not?
For this, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you the 2 bonus for Wolf, because it is kind of like looking and smelling and really taking the scene in. So yeah, sure.
Okay, that's only 9 dice then.
Only 9.
Yeah.
How'd we do?
4 successes. 4,
great. So, as you kind of head further and kind of make your way through the underbrush, first of all, it like I said, it's rough. Like, it's not just fallen trees. There's brambles. There's as you go deeper, there's signs of human activity. There's looks like at one point there's a rotted stump that's been pulled out of the earth. There's some bags of trash that have been collected but just left there in bags. Lots of looks like dry branches or pulled down vines that have just been heaped up in kind of no order. But then as you move further on, following the trail that Tony is guiding you down, you're definitely, things get weirder. Like, you start to notice, especially with those 4 successes, you start to notice that, like, the trash has been left in these strange symmetrical piles. Here and there, you even notice a few kind of twig and bramble and vine like figures that have been woven together and hanging from trees. It looks like there's rocks here and there that have been moved and stacked and placed in geometric patterns and formations. So it's very strange. But after a time, and after some work and a little bit of frustration, but not so much that it's kept you, from doing what you need to do, you find yourself entering what could only be Development Copse West.
Oh wow. So do we see a load of fallen trees? Is that an accurate picture?
Somewhat. So in addition to all the fallen trees and stacked and heaped piles and branches, there's quite a few other things that kind of stand out to you on first viewing. Even though the weather has gotten worse, lightning is flashing in the distance. You're starting to hear thunder occasionally. And you can see the thing that stands out to you is there is, and this is not depicted sadly, but roughly in the center of what appears to be this cleared or fallen or maybe a bit of both area, there is a stool that is like a wooden stool that is nearly central to the area. And you can see kind of around the stool, moving out from it almost as if they were spokes. You can see what look to be 5 kind of mounds of earth and fallen greenery, each kind of moving out from that central point where that stool was. At the foot of the stool, there appears to have been some kind of a fire at some point. And if you move closer, or as you take the scene in, you notice that where there would have been a sixth, man, sorry about that, mound to match the other 5, it looks like a trench has been dug. And I think at that, we'll switch back over to the gentleman, speaking to Miss Van Gelder. Or I guess Mrs. So, Jake, as you mention her greenery, Van Gelder's like, thank you. Yes, I take great pride in my work around the house.
It's very nice. I read a very interesting book all about growing the proper methods to grow spices. The book was called "It Was the Best of Times. It Was the Worst of Times." Have you read it?
No, I don't know that I've read that one. Spices aren't really my thing. Spices are green and growing like anything else, but I prefer flowering plants.
Your gladiolas are amazing. They look. You've maintained them for well over the 2-week lifespan they normally have.
Oh, I'm so satisfied to hear someone say that. Ricard and some of the other members of the horticultural club, they were overly focused on just clearing the space and making the space usable. I was always thinking of how can we really beautify it? How can we, add more greenery to the space rather than just clearing it? I do believe that Enderon really wanted to reclaim the land and make it more natural, but there's no reason why we couldn't add some color to the greenery, some additional plants. And with the right support, they would grow there just as well as they do in my own garden. But
so you're saying
they wouldn't have it.
There should have been no reason for an increase of declared expenses if all they were doing were clearing the land and not spending money on regrowth or anything. That would seem odd to you, wouldn't it?
It would. To be fair, I never really dealt with the money that much. Even when I was a steward, it was that was Enderon's end. I mean, they provided us with the money and the materials to do what we needed to do. We hadn't quite gotten to the stage of regrowth, which was our end goal. I imagine by now they're probably getting to that.
And what other changes has Ricardo made since he basically usurped the power of this group?
Well, like I said, I haven't been there in over 2 years, so I don't know what their focus is now, but he definitely was focused on keeping everybody together and making sure that everybody was always present at every club meeting, and really believed in keeping everybody happy and keeping everybody present, no matter how much of a negative person he himself was. He always had to have, the right number of people. The right number of people.
Yeah, there was something off when I took this file on. I mean, clean history for the 5 years before, and all of a sudden, such changes. That's what's tipped us off. Those changes in the declarations. Really, we can't thank you enough for your help. Sorry, Agent Hutch. Did you want to ask any other questions?
Just one, Miss Van Gelder. You mentioned that Ricard seemed to just want to clear the land. No real focus on beautifying, as you say. Did he show you any reason that he wanted to take control over from you? Did he did he mention anything about future plans that Enderon had, or that he had for the land, or what they were clearing the land for?
Oh, well, if I'm completely honest with you, and then I really must go, but if I'm completely honest with you, you have to understand, I don't believe that Ricard had any care for the land whatsoever. This was a political move for him. He's a petty man with petty dreams. He wants power and he wants control. And he's never had it. And now finally, he's managed to take control of this stewardship of this area for me. And that was his big win. And as far as he's concerned, I guarantee you, once the area is cleared to Enderon's satisfaction, he's going to probably drop it like a hot rock and move on to his next supposed win.
How long has he been a part of the club?
He joined about 6 months before he took it over from me.
About 2.5 years.
So I guess it would be roughly 2.5 years, maybe 3.
And you don't happen to know of any fraught relationships with any of the other members of the club? Is everyone else still there as far as you know? Did anyone else leave the same as you, or?
No, as far as I know, everyone is still there. I mean, I still speak with a few of them. I haven't spoken to Hannah in quite some time. Mitchell and Joy are dear boys, but they're too young for to have social engagements with old women like me. Aisha, I've already forgotten the other one's name. We meet occasionally for a luncheon or a brunch. But as far as I know, they're all still engaged. They really care about restoring the land. I told all of them, hey, because I'm leaving, that doesn't mean you have to, but to be fair, we've all had our own words to say about Ricard behind his back, admittedly. I didn't say anything towards the man himself.
Okay, well, thank you, Miss Van Gelder. As I say, we may have to pop back and see you tomorrow, perchance, but we will call ahead of time should we have
Indeed,
further questions.
I'll make sure to stay around. I certainly don't have any plans tomorrow, so I'll be around the house.
We appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, the ring indicates that she's disconnected.
Okay, so I'm just going to look at it, kind of say, oh yeah, Miss Gelder, one more thing. And I want to make sure she doesn't answer. Okay, perfect.
Oh, yeah,
Kenton, you know, there are two possibilities here. I don't know if you're a fan of the show Yukon Gold.
Hang on, I would think you know enough, Jake, with your surveillance specialty, that the ring is still recording.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It always does, yes.
Interesting, yeah. Okay, very good. I'm sorry. Agent Hutch, come here. And as we walk by, I'm going to say, you see that's a purple gladiola, and it's really extended its life cycle. I think there are two possibilities here. I've recently taken to watching this show. It's reruns, of course. It's a little bit older, called Yukon Gold. I'm thinking he's clearing the land for open pit mining. There may be gold on the land. That's one possibility. The other possibility is perhaps he's clearing the land to build an airstrip. Maybe to either fly in drugs or to have a very short nasal butler type character every morning go out and exclaim, "Boss, the plane, the plane!"
I think the
possibilities.
The two possibilities you've raised. Yeah. I'll make a note of those, Zev, but I think maybe further investigation is warranted before we start declaring that there's gold up there in them hills.
What are your theories on this? Desperately hoping you'll have better ideas than me.
So I think we should get back in the car before we say any more. Let's see if we can get in contact with Ricard. But I think definitely from the sounds of things, he's a man not to be trusted. It's certainly not clear why Enderon want the land cleared, and for what purpose currently. But it seems that Ricard may be a man that will go to any lengths to get what he wants. And
it may also be worthwhile to see when the other members that are still remaining in the club, when they joined. Because if they joined all at the same time, maybe there were other people that weren't listed that were also pushed out, which again would indicate that there is some nefarious activities going around.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, are you going to call Ricard? Are you going to go to his place?
I think we'd try and call him first. Birgit's already said that he's called her, so should be around in Manitou Springs. I don't know if we would have found listed information for him and his address as yet.
Got an address at home.
Yeah, it would have been through the club. But what approach do you want to take? I don't know if he's going to be too smart to fall for the
tax inspector bit.
Yeah, I don't think that will fly in this case, especially since he has every motive not to answer to tax agents.
Well, I'll let you guys consider that as we go back to the woods. So, anything you guys want to think about, talk about, look at, based on the scene that I've laid out for you?
I think I'm going to take a look around, make sure we are alone, and if we are, shift back to human form.
Okay. Yeah, there is, at least in the physical world, no one else around. As you look around, though, in addition to the kind of scene in the center of this area, I will point out to you that the edges of this glade, if you want to call it that, it's probably, first of all, it's probably a good 50 meters across in any given direction. And as you're looking around to make sure that you're safe, I'm so sorry.
God
and
bless
that
you.
there's nobody else around. It becomes very apparent to you quickly that it appears to be an almost perfectly circular ring.
Yeah.
And at the edge of the ring, the trees that are just at the edge are damaged, burned, stripped of the greenery.
Okay. I'll switch to human form then.
Okay.
I'll allow it since I'm now GM.
Yeah.
Next time, cover the camera.
I hope this is okay.
Yeah. I can't fix that.
No worries.
Are things broken?
Yeah, if the camera gets turned off, everybody moves.
Well, my name is Brian now, which is not bad. I am a Brian wannabe.
Brian Groupie.
If I had the ounce of GMing skills he had, it would be great for my players. I don't care how good I am as a GM.
So, yeah, shifting back into human form. Obviously, you have all of your clothing and everything because it's dedicated. What? Oh, there he is. What?
I shifted back to myself. I was in a Garou form before.
The gem form.
So, what do you want to look at? What are you interested in?
So I'll glance around. I'll take out my phone, start taking some pictures. For next year, this looks very ritualistic. Is any of this familiar to you?
Because you said that, why don't you give me a intelligence cult?
But don't think I can understand. I haven't changed yet. I wanted to.
You can still understand my voice. You just can't talk back. Whereas I'm in human form.
Yeah.
She can communicate fairly well with other werewolves, even when she's in Lucas form and you're in human form.
Oh, I thought I couldn't. That's
A woman that can't talk back?
Perfect, but you can
What
get
is this
ideas
magical
across
creature of which you speak?
through like vocalizations and body posture and
But because I'm in human form, you can understand what I'm saying anyway, full stop.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just talking.
you can always understand him.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Base, obviously, when you communicate back, it's a bit more guttural and
Limited,
basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because I mean, before I will change, but I just wanted to check the scent situation and just basically get a good have a good look around, but with my nose.
Oh, right.
Before
So
changing.
give me. Yeah. So before changing, give me a wits survival roll with 2 additional dice because you're still in wolf.
So let's survive.
I'll take the wits and occult if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Rare. 1 success.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. So, with 1 success, I will tell you that the scent of the 2 men is definitely like it's here. This is where it is. But with 1 success, that's about all you get.
Okay.
Just 1 for the occult roll.
Okay, so
I'm
yes,
looking into the significance of the spiral.
Okay, so no question, this is ritualistic in some way. No question whatsoever.
Does it appear to be linked to, it's similar to any of our rituals that we know, or my rituals, or does it appear to be a werewolf ritual?
So this is not any kind of Garou ritual that you're familiar with. And in fact, the kind of circular theme, while not unheard of in Garou rituals, looking at how the mounds kind of spiral out from the central point, where that stool is and where that fire pit is, that is concerning to you. You're not quite sure why, but something about it feels a little off. However, as you're both looking around, since you're taking a close look at things, why don't you both give me just to notice things, not necessarily dealing with the occult or having to do with the scent, but give me an intelligence and investigation check just to see if you notice anything else while you're here.
Okay. Three.
One.
Okay, so between the two of you, you do, as you're looking around, notice a couple of other things. And again, Tony, you can shift where you feel ready to do so, or you can stay in Lucas form. It's totally up to you. You notice, first of all, that there is another fire pit at the edge of this kind of open area. And they're in that fire pit, and it's kind of on the edge of the cleared area or the fallen tree area, because again, it's kind of confusing as to what was done here. On the edge is maybe not exactly correct. It's kind of in the trees a ways. It's close, but if you didn't know it was there, you might miss it. It looks like there had been something burned here. Some kind of living thing was burned here. Let me put it that way. There are bones among the ashes. If you can figure out what's going on there, you're going to have to give me. You do also notice that there are, both of you have noticed it at various times, that there are tracks in the area from the patches of dirt that you can see, and also through, kind of messing up some of the brush. You're guessing there were probably 6 people here at some point.
So this is the horticultural club.
So, correct. And since you got 3 successes, Lonnie, Aaron actually notices that it looks like at one part of the edge of the glade, this kind of heading back towards where you would figure the kind of main part of the experimental forest would be, maybe where people would park cars, for example. Yeah. You see one set of prints leaving. But you also notice, kind of almost on the opposite side of the glade, leading deeper into the forest and up the mountain, a set of wolf prints.
Okay. A question. So, if we have a scent from one form, do we keep that recognition when we transform?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all of your forms are all you. It's just that some are better at certain things than others.
Okay. I think I'm going to ask. Yeah, I think at this point I'm going to ask Crow.
Huh?
Essentially, for his view of this whole thing, to fly up and explain what he sees as the whole thing, if he can. Because obviously we
you
can
want to get like an overhead view?
Yeah, so obviously we can see how everything's laid out, but we're like, we can only see it from 2 points. We can't see it as a whole.
Sure.
So I just ask if he can do that for us.
So yeah, Crow flies up and kind of circles for a bit and comes back down. And he's like, it's not natural.
So I'm going to take a closer look at these trees on the edge and see if I can identify the source of the burning. Is it just natural burning, or does it look like it could be occult in nature?
So yeah, with your earlier rolls, it definitely looks like there was some kind of a blast, as it were. And I think we will hold that idea and go back to our gentleman in town. So, you call Ricard's home phone, which is the only one you have access to.
I'm going to stop that idea for now.
Oh, Okay.
Unless you went ahead and called already. Because I wasn't doing the calling. The more I think about this, the more I don't like this. I don't know a good approach for questioning Ricardo. And I'm more thinking that we may gain more honest information by doing some investigation on him first. Perhaps checking if his cats need water and cat food refreshed, or if he perhaps has some rotten fruit, if you catch my drift. I think we need to try to find information about him. I think that approaching him will only tip him off at this point, because he knows he's doing something nefarious. He's probably recruited all the people that are there, or was able to convince them of something. Unless we decide we want to join the club, or you go and you say you want to join and you have an interest and you're new in town, but even that might be off. Like, is there a way that we can investigate his premises, his offices? Now, the only danger with that is if we do it and we're discovered, or suspicious activity is discovered, it's going to be that much more difficult to approach him after and say, oh, we want to join your club. But I'm trying to figure out what the right approach is. So,
I think we need to take on board what Birgit passed on to us during our conversation. He not only likes control, he craves control. He never had control previously, and now he does. However, there's one thing that anyone who seeks control wants, and that's recognition. They want to be able to tell the world that they are in charge and prove to everybody they're in charge. So I think the best way to garner information out of him and to get him to open up and almost brag, I think he will want to brag about his achievements and accomplishments, is to go in under the guise of being reporters. We want to do a story on him for the Manitou Springs Star. Give him some renown, maybe under the guise of setting up some TV interviews, getting him involved on a podcast about successful entrepreneurs from the area. And that way, he's likely, I reckon, to open up to us. And I think we could certainly garner a meeting from him without raising any suspicion ourselves.
You know what they call reporters? Ego food.
I was going to say,
you're going to go to his place?
Good idea. I like it. So tell me what you need me to play. Am I bad reporter? You're a good reporter?
It's not so much a bad cop, good cop thing.
Okay. Could you clear that up?
I think you've definitely got the knowledge for surveillance equipment that could be our recording equipment.
Yeah, in this high school we have some stuff in the audiovisual club. I could probably get something like that, and
I think we're going to need a camera,
8-track tape recorder, cassette recorder, 100%. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Make it look the real deal. Let's see where we can get him to meet initially on the phone, and set up a time for us to do this.
So are we then reporters from Denver, perhaps? Because if Denver is close by? Because obviously we're not local reporters. Because they would know, why don't I meet at your office, this type of thing. So are we doing
maybe you're just like running your own little podcast, or there's all kinds of news sources out there now that not everybody knows about. So
yeah. Podcasts are the up and coming thing.
Yeah,
but then he'll want to hear some of our previous podcasts to see who we are, type of thing. So we could.
We could be a new podcast. I think he's gonna. Yeah, he's going to be that egocentric that he's just going to be happy to be approached.
No, we
use this great business plan.
We use the name of a podcast that is known in the industry, or maybe less well known, but the one that does exist. And I'll start to Google some research on horticulture podcasts in New England.
Okay.
Or not New England. We're in
Colorado.
As long as it's not Jeremy Clarkson's farming, then we're all good.
If I can just interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah.
Zev and Fenton's phones both beep with a message and several photos of the ritual area, and a message saying our little club are casting rituals.
All right, so now you two have
those
some new information.
Bones? Or is there no bones about it?
Love the wordplay.
What wordplay?
No bones about it. Funny. Okay, so we've got pictures of the area that you guys have seen, and you said it was some sort of spiral.
Yeah, the pictures show that, and the message just says our horticulturists are ritualists.
See.
Well, we know they're not alienists because, those spiral things, the crop marks, total hoax. Apparently it's done with rope and boards. I saw a whole documentary of it in the 1970s.
So I will point out that all of you have been inducted enough into the ways of the Guru to recognize that the spiral is one of the most well-known symbols associated with the worm, which is again, it's not an evil spirit, but the worm represents entropy, decay, destruction. The worm is bad, generally. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a part of life. It's one of the triad that were explained to you as new wolves. Gaia has 3 major spirits that are connected to her and have an effect on her and the world. And one is the wild, which is life and energy and growth. One is the weaver, which is creation, science, man, manufacturing, things like that. And then the third is the worm, which is, as I said, entropy, destruction, decay. The worm currently is ascendant among the triad, which is why werewolves believe, and the elders of your sept believe, that a lot of things are so bad in the world as they are, is because the world is unbalanced and these negative, destructive, entropic energies are affecting everyone. And in fact, many of them also believe that that's why Gaia is dying, or some even claim has died. So the spiral is a symbol of that entropy and that decay, that just kind of spiraling down into destruction. And in fact, you also have been warned that there are some gurus, some werewolves, that have fallen to serve the worm, that are known as black spiral dancers. So you've been warned about them, but you've never seen one. If you pressed anybody in your sept about it, few of them would be able to tell you that they've seen one. There might be one or two. They're not a boogeyman necessarily, but they're certainly not like forces that are lining up on the Western Front ready to take you down. They're just out there. They're concerned.
So if we believe that he is one of these Black Spiral followers, I'm going to text Aaron back and say that it could be that this Ricardo and maybe some of the others are part of this pack. So if you see any rabbits around the area, try to get some hair samples.
Hair samples. Nice.
I just text Wing and just put possible one werewolf already.
And that leads us, Fenton, we should probably try to get like hair samples to see if there's wolf hair in Ricardo's domicile. I mean, it stands to reason that he cleared the land, therefore destruction, not regrowth or birth, and they're performing dark Gaia-killing rituals on the land.
So are you guys talking about this? Let me ask you this. Are you guys talking about this while you're driving? Are you in the car? Maybe...
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to use some GM fiat and say that maybe you have the radio on. Maybe it's low. Maybe you've turned it down because you're having a conversation as you're traveling about town. But a news report plays across the radio.
Okay.
Manitou Springs is still reeling from the unexpected earthquake a few days ago, and resident geologist and climatologist Marcus Rutherford is perplexed as the quake had no precursors or signs that indicated that it would occur. He, and the rest of the scientific community, seem unconcerned, however. This has been a KRDO 13 news brief.
Brian, that was awesome. I don't know how you did it.
So, you all do, well, the two of you, because you've heard this. Obviously, the two in the woods won't have heard this brief, but maybe you'll be informed about it later. You do remember that there was a quake the other day, roughly 3 days ago. You didn't think too much of it at the time.
Well, that certainly could be a harbinger of destruction. One of the 7 signs.
Let's maybe not jump straight to the 4 horsemen diving in. Maybe not panic too quickly.
Well, nobody else is.
That's what we're dealing with.
Nobody else is, but still.
First campaign, 2 sessions in, it's the 4 horsemen, folks.
The seal is broken! The seal is broken!
I forgot to tell you, this is a highly combative campaign. All right, so with that news brief, I think we're going to hop back to the woods now and see what Aaron and Alexia are doing. Okay, so you've just sent your text. What are you doing now? We looking deeper? Are we going to retry some investigation tests? Or are we going to look at anything else specifically?
I wanted to look closer at the animal prints, the werewolf prints, particularly to see about a scent, if anything, and
okay.
Also, like, to see, like, is it, what kind of form is it? Would it be the lupus hispo?
Oh, sure.
Kind of thing.
So, yeah. So go ahead and take a look and give me a. Let's do for this one. Let's do intelligence.
Yeah.
And survival, or animal ken. Let's use animal ken. Anything you're looking at, Longy?
I was going to look at the human tracks that I think's heading towards the development. When we're heading towards the development, is that towards the complex? Or
yeah, so towards the complex.
Yeah. Okay.
And what would be the
just trying to determine how many tracks there is and how recent they are.
Okay, so. Oh, nice, Tony. All right, so we'll deal with the human prints first, because you won't need to make a roll for this. You can follow the human prints out. Well, first of all, if you follow the human prints that you discovered either way, first of all, you notice that they kind of the clear starting point for this particular trail is the stool. Like, you can literally stood up and started walking off, right? You can also tell while you're looking at these prints, I'll give you based on some rolls you made earlier, that the prints are heavier than you would expect, which would indicate that they're carrying something, okay? So you follow the prints to the edge, and once you get to the edge of the we'll just call it the spiral, you see where there are 6 pairs of prints coming into the spiral, but there's only this one set of prints leaving. And there is kind of a bit of a trail there heading back towards what you would expect is a parking area or something like that. Now, Tony, with your roll, as you kind of really focus on these wolf prints, first of all, you do get a bit of a scent. And with 3 successes, I'm going to tell you that you're fairly certain it's female. By scent. We'll say that's something you can tell. And so by the time the prints kind of head off into the woods, they're probably about the size of what you would consider your hispo or your dire wolf form to be.
Okay.
But as you kind of follow them back to where they originated, what you find is, first of all, as you're following them back, they get bigger, and as you kind of spot them kind of breaking a couple of branches or kind of under some of the cover that has fallen, you're fairly certain that this is something that's roughly the size of your Krynos form. But then as you continue to follow it, first of all, it takes you to the trench that is part of the spiral, but not one of the mounds. And what it looks like is someone has stood up out of the trench, shifted, and you see shredded clothes just around in the, like, hung up on some of the branches and kind of under some of the underbrush. And you see what looks to be a couple of a pair of combat boots that have just been burst open, as what you would imagine would happen to someone who has taken Krynos form from human form. And then they kind of stagger off, and it is kind of a stagger in one direction, and then drop down to all fours, and then the prints shrink a little bit as they shift. Again, as I said, you assume to hispo form, and then disappear off into the woods. The clothing, if you're wondering, from what you can tell, it looks like they were possibly wearing some kind of a hoodie, maybe white, maybe a red shirt of some kind, some jeans, and, like I said, a pair of combat boots that just exploded as something shifted while wearing them.
Okay.
And it does look like this person, Guru, you assume, was laying in the trench.
Is it?
Are the shredded? Is the shredded clothes? Is the top floral?
Floral? No, it's not.
Okay.
Is the trench?
Good call out.
I mean, I know it's been a few days, and obviously the weather isn't great, but, like, is it, in a lack of a better sense, is it freshly dug?
I mean, you would imagine, yeah, probably a couple of days ago.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so probably take a piece of the shredded clothing and like pop it in my pocket.
Oh, okay. You shifted to human. Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'll literally do that
Yeah.
just for that. Because like, no, I'm
okay.
gonna
Sure.
keep this for later. Because
Shifting back and forth between Homid and Lupus is free, but just be aware that shifting to any of the other forms costs a rage check. So,
so I'm assuming would Erin have said that you? Well, as I shifted, I'm assuming I would have got the same text that the others got.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Actually, the
assuming,
timestamp is wrong on it because it looks like you just received it. But yes.
I'm assuming like we're like just in like a WhatsApp group or something.
Sure.
So on the back of that, I'm going to take the same initiative, and I'll take pictures of the clothing and the trench a little bit more closely.
Okay.
And
Why don't you?
I took a piece.
No, I already had you make a roll. So what now that based on those 3 successes you had before, and now that you're taking a close look at this trench, that also means that you're inside the spiral, and so you can smell the bodies. And I think we'll take a break there. Alright, so when we left off, kind of abruptly, I mentioned something about bodies. Yeah. So as Lenexia is following these wolf, then not wolf, then human prints to this trench in the spiral, as you shift back to human form and lean over to pick up some of the scraps of clothing, you pick up, maybe it was held down by the greenery, or, well, the quickly wilting greenery. Maybe it's the rain. Maybe the wind just wasn't blowing in the right direction. But as you knelt down to pick up the scraps of clothing from this person who appears to have shifted form, you get a face full of rot and decay and the unmistakable smell of bodies. So I'll reiterate, there's a trench that is, roughly 5 to 6 feet long. And there are also 5 mounds in a spiral around this central chair and fire pit, each of which is 5 to 6 feet long.
Yeah, I'll just look over at Lenexia with a bit of a look of disdain on my face.
Yeah.
And then glance down at the mounds.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the same, just like looking between each of them, looking back, and like actively you can see trying to, like, something's connecting, and it's just like it's in a bit of shock, I guess, because this is just this whole thing is very, very strange, and unheard of.
Okay, I'll make my way over towards one of the mounds. As I do so, I'll shift back into wolf form.
Okay.
I'll just gently start pouring away at the mound, very gently. Take the surface off.
So yeah, clear some of the branches and vine and various green detritus and some of the dirt. You uncover the first body, and it's not hard to tell who it is. Which side did you start digging on? The side
on
the
car park side.
Farthest? No, I mean
where the human tracks were.
So keep in mind, they're all pointing towards this central fire pit. Did you start digging close to the fire pit or further away from the fire pit?
I'm not sure. Just whichever side was on, which were facing out towards where the human tracks were.
Okay. Well, I'll say you started closer to it, because that'll basically uncover the face. And as you do, you see a face that you recognize. This particular face is that of an older woman. And as you move some of the other branches and dirt to the side, you can see that she's wearing a floral print blouse, what looks to be a smock. You can see that she has some kind of a marking on her face. It starts on her chin, and it's kind of grayish, maybe some kind of powder. It starts on her chin and goes up through the little spot on her upper lip, over the nose to the forehead, and at the forehead it kind of turns into a spiral. And her head, the way that she's buried, the way that all of the mounds are arranged, her head is pointing at the fire pit next to the stool.
Okay.
So with your roll earlier, with regards to investigation and occult, or intelligence and occult, you really get the sense that something was drawing power through this body into some central focal point in the center.
I'll head over to the fire pit and have a closer look at that.
Okay. So this particular fire pit has no indication of bones or anything like this. This looks like it was a clean burning fire. But there is an imprint of something that oddly was seated in the fire. And the best description I can give is it looks like something was literally seated in the fire. You get an impression of like where it's
like a pot or something.
No, like a butt print. Like something was seated in the fire.
Right.
And it looks to have been, if it is, in fact, I mean, it can't really be anything else. It is a butt print. Dumb way to say it. If it is the imprint of a gluteus maximus in the ashes of the fire, it looks to have been an adult. Now, you uncovered what you believe is Aisha.
Yep.
Head and part of her torso. You continue?
I'll just I'll look up at Lenexia and just just saying very basic wolf terms. Others need to know, and I'll start uncovering the.
Oh, you're in wolf form. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to. Others need to know, and I'll start uncovering the other bodies.
Okay. So, if Lenexia wants to text everybody else, I'll go through you uncovering the rest of the bodies.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So, what you find very quickly is that the bodies, well, you're just uncovering them at this point, so you're not really checking them over necessarily yet. So I will tell you, at this point, that okay, here we go. It's very clear that it's Aisha. Jacqueline is the other woman.
Yep.
Mitchell and
Yep.
Joy.
Oh, crap.
Yep.
And then a fifth person you don't recognize.
The web designer, maybe? Hamo Hardcon?
It's
I'm
not
good.
Hannah.
Sorry.
It's not Hannah Harcourt. And these bodies.
So
have
Hannah's
to be
the only
cleaned up.
female. Hannah's possibly the one that turned.
Maybe?
Yeah, the one that always wore a hoodie. So
some other points before you get into questions. Jacqueline is missing an arm, and Mitchell is missing a leg.
okay. Okay, so I'll send them all each the name. The last person that we don't know, I'm actually going to take a picture of their face.
Okay, so it's a man, and are you going over these bodies at all? Are you taking a close look? After you've uncovered them, Aaron, are you going to shift back to human form and take a closer look, or?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and.
Well, as soon as I shift back to human form, I'm just going to open up a video link. And
Okay.
just show these guys everything. Show the two guys everything I'm doing.
As you're
Just so
going
they're getting the information at the same time.
Okay. So that actually, let's bring some people in then. You both get a video link from Aaron. Are you going to pull over and take a look?
Yeah.
Okay. So that actually will be very helpful because that can bring everybody's skills to bear, I think, as you're using your camera and kind of looking over the bodies. If I'm not wrong, considering what we've discussed, Beza, is Fenton's medical skill pretty high?
Medicine's one.
Oh, okay.
Either mine.
That's fair. So let's get intelligence medicine from Beza.
Yep.
Does anybody else want to bring any of their skills to bear? I'll let you decide as Fenton, as Aaron is kind of going over these bodies. Is there anything you're looking for? Anything you want him to see if is present?
My cult is 2 as well. I don't know if that's useful, but
Yeah, you might be able to roll occult as well.
let's do the intelligence and medicine you said there.
Intelligence medicine, intelligence occult is a good one. Intelligence.
Intelligence occult would be 6 dice. Intelligence medicine would be 5.
Well, I'll let you do both, and I mean other people can make rolls or give assistance, whatever you want to do.
Well, that's the 6. That's the intelligence occult. 2 successes there.
Okay.
And we say intelligence medicine, didn't we? Because I set all those before coming up with a backstory. Okay, so that's that 4 there for the intelligence medicine.
Medicine. Okay. And actually, I guess I should back up and ask everybody this. Aaron and Lenexia, since you're present, how do you feel?
I was just about to get to that.
Uncovering these bodies and recognize people that you have some information about. Maybe they're not close to you, but is that enough to make you angry?
Definitely quite unhappy about the situation. Yeah. It's I got a bit of a growing urge to enact some vengeance for these people, but I'm also torn because I don't know how involved they are. So I guess I'm angry at the situation, but I don't know where to direct the anger because there's not enough information.
Roll a check die for me then.
I think for Lenexia,
Gain a point of rage.
yeah, for me, for Lenexia, I think it's more. It doesn't feel obviously connected to these humans. I think it's more of the fact of what's, in theory, potentially some of the things that are popping in the mind of what's gone on.
Okay.
Like said, if it's to do with the worm, and then essentially these people have gone missing, so they have been sacrificed, and it seems inherently wrong. It's like it's against, like it shouldn't be, and even though it's a part of Gaia, it's not the right way. It's against everything that Gaia is. So I think in that respect, it's more.
Not to make you angry?
Well, yeah, because I think obviously everything, the Theurge and the tribe is about Gaia and what Gaia does and healing and everything. So this is the exact opposite, or so far it seems like it's the exact opposite of everything of that. So yeah, even though it's not a connection to the people.
Are you on the fence? Or
No.
are you angry?
I'll be getting angry, but I just
Gain a point of rage for them.
yeah, I'll be getting angry. It's just not. I know. I just wanted to say it's not. It sounds awful, but it's not because of the people.
No, hey, look, that's amazing, because there's a lot of werewolves that feel exactly that same way.
Yeah.
That, like, people, whatever, but, like, if this hurts Gaia, no, that's not okay.
So is that a check or just a point?
No, you just automatically get a point. I asked you if you were angry, you said yes.
Okay.
Longy was on the fence, so I made him roll. Jake, when you get this video and you see it, and you see people that you've seen in a picture that maybe you were hoping were alive,
Yeah.
or assumed were, how does that make you feel?
Actually, I'm heartstrucken. I don't know. What I'm going to tell Jessica.
Sure.
I am. What's really going through my head is, what do I tell her? Like, how do I explain this? And I'm trying to think about subterfuge. Okay, he's gone for 2 weeks. We found him. He's in Denver, and I'm racing, and I'm lost. But if this is something that would anger me, then I should certainly make a roll to see what happens.
No, so it's actually worse for you. So Jessica is your touchstone. And I think talking about how you feel heartstruck by this, and you're concerned about what you would say to her, you're actually going to have to make, I believe it's a Hirano check.
Okay.
It's either Hirano or Hoglusk. Either way, roll one die.
It's Hirano for despair, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, one die.
Just
okay.
one.
All right, this one green.
Yep. You could also roll a check die too. It doesn't really matter. They're both the same.
Is that
They just
good?
have different symbols. Okay, so it's not enough to send you down the path of Hirano. You do not gain a point. Oh no, you failed. You do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you actually gain a point of Hirano that you need to add to your Hirano tracker.
Okay.
Because your
good.
touchstone was affected.
Okay.
So, it's not the end of the world, but it's starting down the path of becoming a monster, which is what this game is all about. So, Hirano, for those watching, is essentially like despair. It is the opposite of Hoglusk, which is unguided rage. Hirano is total despair, and generally if your Hirano develops to the point where it's full, you're no longer a playable character, because you've just lost yourself to the rage of despair. The opposite, Hauglosk, is if you are essentially angered beyond madness. And so both of these tracks can fill and change over time. And generally they fill and change if you either call upon them to make yourself more powerful, which you can do, or if your touchstones are affected in a serious way, like just happened with Jake, and you're affected by it. So, yeah. Good news is no more rage for you necessarily. You just gain a point of Toronto, which is the first step. It'll be fun, trust me. Finally, Beza, how does seeing these people that you've seen a picture of, that you've been investigating, seeing them dead, how does that make you feel?
I think my...
and used in a ritual of some sort that you think might be connected to the worm.
Sure. I mean, I think my result was pretty good. I'm not sure about my my composure, but I think Fenton would be trying to figure it out. He'd be trying to pull from any sort of wells of knowledge that he's got in his brain on what it is that's going on and why this has happened. I don't feel like he would be angered, but I feel like it would push him to be more driven to find out who the cause of this was, and why this is happening, and what the actual root cause of this is. Yeah.
You do still have a wolf inside of you, so
yeah,
I'm gonna have you roll 2 check dice.
Oh God.
To see if you gain rage.
Okay.
Do I not want to be in the car with him now?
Who's driving?
Well, I assume you pulled over.
Exactly.
We pulled over.
Oh, nice. Is that good?
Okay, so you succeeded, so you're fine. No additional rage. You've managed it. Maybe I should have made you guys roll like resolve checks, but I like just using the check die. So, and asking you how you feel. Okay, so moving ahead. You've received this video. We've had some really good rolls just before that from Beza, and kind of looking at what you can look at, not having been there.
Yep.
Based on your medicine roll, unless you ask Aaron or Lenexia to do anything specific, I will tell you based on that medicine roll that it looks like, the other 3 bodies have been opened. They have wounds in their torso that look to be done with some kind of a tool, so it's not like they've been cut open by a werewolf or anything like that. Like, it looks like somebody cut them open for a reason. Now, unless you ask them to do anything else, I can't give you any more information because you're not there.
Okay, fair enough.
We know about the missing limbs, though.
That's true.
Know about the
you know
limbs.
that
a missing arm and a missing leg.
Mitchell is missing a leg, and Jacqueline is missing an arm.
If they opened up the bodies, do you think they're harvesting organs to create some sort of, like, why does somebody take various body parts from different bodies? Internal and external.
So, I mean, with my occult knowledge, I'm assuming it's knowledge, is it? Yeah, with 2 points in skills. I'm assuming I would know and be aware of the fact that there's going to be a number of rituals in terms of making them certainly more powerful that are going to require organs, body parts, blood, maybe.
But I would say with your success and with your knowledge, also, there are rituals out there, or you can imagine, I'm not saying that you know them, but you can imagine that somebody might also use parts of other beings to create new life.
Yep. And we know of at least some other occult types and things, right? So there's possibly knowledge we can draw on there. I think I'd definitely be asking, when you say that the torsos have been cut, are we saying that they're? I know you said they have been opened. Does that suggest that they've then been closed back up? You say it's for some sort of tool. Are we assuming it's some sort of scalpel, some sort of precision cutting to take things out, or would they be able to, like, if it's still open, would these guys know what pieces have been taken?
You can.
I do have a point. I do have a point of
say-
medicine as well. I didn't realise
I
that,
would
but I have.
certainly be asking questions on what's been taken. Like for me, I'd want to know what's been taken and trying to figure out how much it's gone.
So since Aaron also has a point of medicine, I will allow you to do a deeper examination of them if you want. You're a werewolf, so you don't really have to worry about germs per se, so it's not like you have to glove up.
I'll start having a
you
dig
don't
in.
have to
I'll
worry
start
about
having a dig in one of the open chests, but I will be doing it quite not gently.
Okay, nice. But with Lenexia there holding her phone or holding yours and continuing to film, if you want to, I will let you get a bonus die from Fenton giving you tips over the connection.
So my phone just gets flung into the floor a meter or so away from me, and I just start digging with both hands.
Okay. So go ahead and make an intelligence medicine roll with a bonus die from Fenton, assuming that's okay with Fenton.
Yeah.
Yep. No, just a green regular die for me.
Okay. No, so Fenton's not rolling. You're just giving a bonus die to Aaron. I was doing helping wrong. If you help someone, you just give them a bonus die.
Right.
Just the one.
One? Okay. Just for fun though, I'll give it to you for one. There wasn't really a necessary amount that you needed. So, yes, you are able to determine relatively quickly, considering how rough you said you were being. Why don't you describe to me how you're digging around in these people or bodies? Tell me what you're doing, and then I'll
just lean into it, just rip open the skin with all the strength I've got and pull the rib cage apart and just start scooping the organs out and yanking, snapping bits off. Because I'm pissed.
Pulling a rib cage apart is not easy for a human being. Do you think maybe you'd take glabro form for that?
I was just thinking that. Yeah, let's have a go at that.
All right, our first supernatural shift. So taking glabro form requires a rage check.
Which I've just succeeded, yeah.
Right.
You only needed one die, to be clear. Unless
I've got 2 rage though, Anna. So do I not roll 2?
No, so a rage check is just rolling a check die.
Ah, right. Okay.
If you fail, you still shift, but your rage decreases.
Okay, I'll roll the 1 then.
No, it's fine. You got 2 successes. I'll take. Well, there it is. There's 1 success. Sometimes it may ask you to do 2 checks, in which case you roll 2 check dice. But normally, if you're doing a rage check, it's just 1 die.
Yeah.
So you shift into glabro form. You can maintain this form for a scene for free. It gives you some additional bonuses. If you want to look at the handout, you can see that. But basically, you get a bonus to strength, which is going to enable you to pry open their rib cages and take a look at what they have inside. So as you shift, Lenexia looking on, you see his mass increase a significant amount. Because your clothing is dedicated, it's not actually damaged. But what's interesting is that the spiritual nature of the rite of dedication and the way that werewolf magic kind of works is what is your character wearing today, for example? What's your dedicated outfit?
It's sort of dark jeans and a tidy top and a sort of like a dark sort of a black sort of waistcoat
Okay, so just to be clear, your clothing is not actually going to be damaged. It'll be fine when you shift back to homemade form. But what's interesting is the way the magic works is as you shift, it does look damaged. It like distends. Some of the seams pop as you get bigger and more muscular. You definitely get a lot hairier. Maybe that hairline kind of descends a little bit more than it normally is. And you take on that kind of Lon Chaney kind of Wolfman appearance with your clothing kind of looking frayed and broken as you shift into this larger form. And yeah, as you rip the rib cages open and kind of dig into the bodies to take a look at what might be missing, you can still, clearly understand Fenton as he's giving you instructions over what I imagine would be speakerphone at this point.
Yeah.
And so you notice a couple of things. Back into my notes. Okay, so Joy is missing. You spot this very quickly because it's quite normal. His heart is just gone. It looks like it's been cut out. And Fenton and you, Aaron, can both tell that the cutting that's been done on these bodies, it was done with a tool, but it's certainly not a surgically precise tool. It might have been done with a Bowie knife, possibly a machete, and certainly not with any medical skill. In fact, not quite as angry as what Aaron is doing to the bodies right now, but it looks like a lot of these cuts have been done in haste and anger, rather than any kind of precision. So Joy is missing his heart. It's fairly apparent that Aisha, her entire stomach is gone. The fifth person that you've not identified, their entire intestinal tract is missing. But those are the only things. Looks like everything else is still present. Lungs, all that stuff.
Okay.
Have you seen enough? Because I sure fucking have.
What about a cult roll to try to figure out what would be done with these body parts separate from each individual person? And I'm also wondering if there's any symbiology, if that's a word, of these different people and what part was taken from them, meaning did each have a specific strength or something special related to the body part that was taken. That.
So with those specific questions, why don't you go ahead and try an occult roll for him?
Okay.
Intelligence and occult.
All right. Occult is 1 and my intelligence is 0. 4.
No,
Okay.
your intelligence
Yes,
is not 0.
So it's 2 red and 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, is it 2 red because I have Harano now, or is it just 1 red?
No,
from
it's
Rage?
still just 1 red. Rage and Harano are 2 separate things.
So 1 and 4. Is that very Aladdin?
That's pretty good. So, to answer your questions, it's possible that specific people, like specific parts of specific people, might be important, but it's difficult to say without more information about what was actually being done and what kind of ritual was being done. That being said, I will tell you with that occult roll, and we'll add in a little bit more information from the 2 medicine rolls, is that it looks like all of these people, aside from whatever wounds were caused to take their body parts from, they seem to have died relatively peacefully, and you can tell by some blackening around their lips, and if you look at their tongues at all, some swelling and blackening around the tongues, and definitely in the stomach. Aaron would have noticed this potentially as he was kind of rooting through the body cavities. There's indication that all of these people have been poisoned and that they died of asphyxiation. So, Jake, with that occult roll, I would indicate that this looks like it looks very similar to like ritual kind of suicide type killings that occurred in, like, if you're familiar with Jonestown, or situations like that where people were given something to drink and or forced to drink something through some kind of cult leadership and died.
So at the same time, Fenton, that would lead me to believe that perhaps the body parts weren't important for some, I don't want to say ritual thing, but for some, let's say, recreation thing. Because if you're using body parts for some recreation type of mystical use, you wouldn't poison the bodies first, as that might even taint those body parts. So I think I have more questions than I have answers, even as we gather these clues through our phones via our comrades in the field.
I think with... Oh, go ahead. I'll let Alexia go.
I was just going to say, would, from those visual symptoms, would we be able to know what kind of poison was used?
You'd probably need a lab for that.
Okay.
Some more detailed, like, you might be able to make guesses.
Is
there anything you were wondering about, particularly with regard to that?
It was just from what so Ev was saying, like, if it was a specific poison that didn't affect the organs, that kind of narrows it down.
Oh.
But if we were able to, from them physical symptoms that we see, if there was a connection.
So you have nature, do you not? Something along those lines? Or you have a specialism.
Herbalism. Yeah.
Right? So why don't you roll that with intelligence for me?
Okay.
Because you're specialized, you get an additional die. And don't forget, I believe your rage is 2 now, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 red dice out of the...
I bet you this poison is horticultural in nature. That's a lot of successes.
Jeez, it is. Boy, that's a critical. Okay, that's our first critical success of the game, so I'm going to explain this. The 2 dice, the regular die and the rage die that have the 2 stars on them, those are essentially 10s. And normally, if you just get one of those, it just counts as 1 success. But if you have a pair of them, even across 2 different types of dice, which you do, it counts as 2 successes and 2 more. So your total successes there is 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
It's huge. So for that roll, I'm going to give you that, yes, in fact, you know for certain that there are herbs that can basically make someone's throat close up and cause them to asphyxiate without affecting the tissues of the rest of the body. And in fact, you can see them all over the place. I'm not going to name the herb because I'm not an herbalist, so I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, yes, there are, and you know for certain that these people could have been.
Sorry, what you mean is you know the name of the herb. We're just not going to disseminate that information over the internet because we are socially responsible.
Very good. Yes, that is correct. So that's awesome, and I think we're going to call it there with that because we are, a little bit past 3 hours now tonight. What I will finish us with is this. After Lenexia has kind of made that observation, you'll excuse me for doing some narration for a moment on me, but I think it's important to end this session with an image of...
I have something to end on into something I was going to do, which might give some way to end.
Please do.
So, as I'm digging through these bodies, basically getting more and more angry because, especially when I'm seeing the females, I'm projecting my sister's situation in the past onto it and what could have happened to her if things had gone down a darker path. And I'm thinking about the vulnerable situation she was in and that she's now out of it, but it could happen all over again because that guy's still out there. And so I'm just seeing victim, possible victim, and just getting more and more pent up. And when I've basically just working on the last body, it just becomes too much. Just stand up and just howl at the moon and just race off into the woods towards the complex, trying to follow that route, that human path.
Nice. And what we have not noticed until this point is that the sun has set as we were focused on these bodies and investigating them. And it's almost exactly at the moment as you stand up from the body, your arms, muscular and veiny with partial claws extended in your glabro form. As you howl at the moon is actually there, and the clouds part to show the moon and show you in stark relief to anyone looking on as your howl kind of resonates. And because you just howled at the moon, you gain another point of rage for next session.
Oh, I've got to find a better class of friends.
And yeah, we will start next session with you just making a beeline for that area, and what everybody else does at that point. So I think we'll call it there for today.